So today started like any normal day where I stare out the window and wonder why the world is on fire. Like literally, like 2-3 days ago, it was perfect weather outside. Everything was so nice. The skies were clear. And then this morning, or 2 days ago, really, there's just smoke everywhere. And then once I've usually woken myself up a little bit more, I tend to get a protein shake out and to watch a little bit of The Mentalist while I work out and get myself ready for the day. And I also, like, almost first thing in the morning is I head to the computer, I go to Notion or a task list app, it switches pretty much every day, and I plot out what I'm going to be doing for that day specifically. Today I really only had like 2 objectives that I really wanted to get done. So first I wanted to create the create post view inside of my app that I'm working on. And then the other task that I wanted to get done, I've never worked really with AWS or Amplify or anything of that sort. I've really only worked with like Firebase, and I was never really the back-end developer for any other projects in which we did use different databases. I've mainly been the front-end developer, and I really don't know how to work with a lot of backends. And so that was my second objective for the day. So the create post view was going to be pretty simple. So it's just a sheet that pops up when you click the plus button on the tab bar. Fairly simple to make. Basically, I just have a custom tab bar, and one of those is the plus button, in which it's just a button, and that button just sends a signal to present a sheet on the view. I will be breaking down this application and going through it, and after I like clean up the code a little bit more and figure out what this product is. But first I want to release it to the public and see how well it functions before I really teach it. But one thing I will teach today is the slide bar. So basically all I really wanted to do is, typically with posting, I've always been super lazy about this. You have the form to fill out and then you click a done button. Now Blake Wood, he's the one that basically designed this application that we've been working on, and he thought of, why don't we make it a slide to post? That way it's just a little bit more of an interaction. That way it's a little bit more exciting in a sense. And so that was like the main aspect of what I set out to do today. And so the way that we have this laid out is we have first an indicator up at top, then we have a submit new idea view, and that's just this here with this X mark that connects to a binding variable, which is presented. So as soon as we click this here, it binds to where we present the view, so it'll close it that way. We also have it so it works as a drag gesture as well. Then we have the new idea view, which is of course just a VStack with a text field, so on and so forth. Then we have the what's the idea view, in which this is essentially like a text editor with some text on top of it so that we have a little placeholder. This is all just right here, and then it's all inside of a VStack as well. And then we have add a category, and this is again just basically copied and pasted from there. But for that sliding functionality, I was super proud about it. So essentially we have a Z stack. You have a background color, you have the text, and then you just have another color on front of the text that will be directly proportionate to the amount that we dragged. And then on top of that color, that's where I have the white button. And then just to get those like chevron arrows looking a little bit nicer, I put them inside of an H stack and then put the spacing to -5. That way they have a little bit of overlap on top of them as well. But for that little white view on top of all the colors and whatnot, I decided to put a drag gesture. So as soon as you start dragging on that specific view, it'll automatically track the translation. And so the translation, in a sense, is we have a starting point and we can either move up or down or left or right or whatever. And basically it's drawing essentially like a rectangle as you're doing so. It's almost like if you ever played with your mouse while you're on like the home screen of a desktop, you can see that it like you get the starting point and then you drag it out and you get a rectangle drawn. That's essentially what you're doing with your fingers. That's what's called the translation. And so with your translation, you have either the width or the height. And so as you're dragging, the width or the height of that rectangle changes. And so all we really cared about was the width. So I created a variable that will change every time the width of the translation changes. Only the width. And as the width changes, it'll also change that color that I was talking about, as well as the positioning or the offset of the white view on top as well. And then of course we need there to be some sort of threshold, right? So as soon as it goes a little bit further than a certain point, that's when we say, oh, okay, he dragged all the way and he wants to post this. So I made it 1/4 of the way. So we take the screen width and then we divide it by 0.25. And we say if the translation is greater than you know, the quarter of the screen width, that's when we're going to say, oh, okay, this person wanted to post it. And so we say is added is equal to true. And so when it's is added is set to true, that's when we automatically push it off to the right side. Then I also had a little bit more logic, so we can only really like dismiss this as soon as we start typing in some things. So as soon as we start typing in there, then it goes white, and then you can dismiss it. Like so. I will be posting the source code of this, so if you have any questions, just refer to the source code, okay? But it's essentially that. You have a drag gesture on a view. As soon as you start dragging, it's going to start tracking how far you dragged. If it drags past a certain point, then it's going to go ahead and push it off all the way to the side. And if it doesn't, then it's going to push it back to the beginning. Simple as that. Then I also have it so as soon as we drag to the end, it'll also dismiss the view. Now, this isn't connected to the backend or anything at the moment, so we'll have to work on that another day. When we swipe, it'll automatically post to our backend, and then it'll dismiss the view once everything is done. But for the time being, just to add a little bit of artificial delay, I put it so we have, you know, a delay of 1 second before it dismisses the view. Otherwise, it's immediate and it's not that great. And so yeah, that was basically the create post view that I created. And I'm pretty proud of it. I think it looks pretty good. I had this done by, I think, like 11 or noon. Then I had to switch over to a different side project, which I can't really talk about right now, but all good. And then after that, we talked for a good like 2 hours. So at 1 p.m., I decided I'm going to go ahead and start working on AWS. And man, was it a nightmare. The main thing about AWS to me is just how like robust it is to an extent. Like, you open up AWS and you're like, which one do you want to use? And it shows a list of just like 1,000 different like technologies that you can use from Amazon, which is awesome because I'm sure some people will want that. But at the same time, I just want to build a backend. I just want to do something like very simple, have like a database, you know. But no, it shoves everything in my face, and I'm like, okay, I want Amplify, and it's just one of the 1,000 options. And so I got started with AWS Amplify, and I don't know, something about the quick start guides, I followed them to a T. I went over them over and over and over again, and for some reason, I just can't get it to work. Like, what I would normally do is I first had to install Amplify into the terminal, so I had to run an npm, so npm install Amplify. And then I had to install that inside of my Xcode project. And so then it shows that I have the configure files. So I place those configure files inside of my Xcode project. This is all inside of the quick start guide. And so I do those things. And then it says to pull all of the models that you create inside of AWS. So I went back into Amplify. I created the data models. And then I tried to pull and nothing would happen. It said something along the lines of, you're going to have to drag the files into Xcode. And I'm like, well, I did that. Like, you can't find them. And so I'm left at the end of the day just wondering what the heck's going on. I know, unfulfilling, I'm sorry, but it's annoying. And so I went through that process, I think like 10 times. I've like even deleted the database in the back end, created new ones, created new users, I created everything, and it's not working. So I will get back to you tomorrow, and hopefully it'll start working. And hopefully it works as it should, and the world is nice again. If any of you know how to work with AWS and can kind of like guide me in the right direction, please help. I need it. So with all that pent up anger, I decided to go out on a walk, and that was the end of my day. And while I enjoy the walk, I just wish it wasn't so smoky outside. But yeah, there's my dev vlog, day 1 of Valiid, even though it's day 3. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is a new format. If you don't like it, let me know. If you do like it, let me know. Okay? Anyway, have a fantastic night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.